Hello, everyone, and welcome back for the fourth episode of the EduLeaders Speak podcast, where we like to provide a platform to education leaders and heroes from our region who are doing tremendous work to share some insights and inspiration with the rest of us. Today's topic is one that I'm sure crosses all of our minds almost every day: AI Unplugged, but in the context of transforming education in our region. And today I'm joined by a very special guest who is one of the leading voices for AI in education in our region, Dr. Sreejit Chakrabarty, the Director of Artificial Intelligence at GEMS Education. And your co-hosts, as always, Bushra Ali and Iram Farhad Farooq.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, Dr. Sreejit.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
So Dr. Sreejit has been at the forefront of innovation and technology education in our region for the past several years, probably going past more than a decade.
Yeah.
And along an interesting journey that has brought you to this tremendous title of Director of AI Intelligence. So without further ado, we're just going to hand over to you. Please tell us more about your unique journey and also your why. What motivates you to do what you do every day?
Yeah, interesting question. To tell you a bit about my journey, it's been a topsy-turvy roller coaster in terms of where I am right now was not the destination that I was looking for, and I didn't even know that is something that would be my role, probably thinking back 10 years. So technology always excited me. Solving problems excited me growing up, right? Even in my engineering days, me and my friends would just tinker with robots and create robots, participate in college festivals and start winning competitions there, never knowing that that's going to be kind of like my career trajectory later on. Fast forwarding back probably a decade more into the future, I see there's a gap in the market. STEM and coding and robotics are taking over the industrialization kind of. So all these kind of roles are demanding these kind of skill sets from the students. And countries like the UAE, where they have a potential of investing in these kind of little bit capital intense activities, were kind of lagging behind because of lack of awareness. So I decided to step on that journey to create that kind of awareness and started delving into different robotics platforms, coding platforms, and see how we can integrate that with the schooling systems around here. That gave rise to a lot of opportunities in terms of competitions, expositions, internships, opportunities for our students. And I kind of figured out that it's not just limited to the classrooms and the brick and mortar setup of a school, but education and STEM education in particular lies beyond the classroom. So that kind of motivated me to make those connections outside the schools, connect with industry partners, startup owners, even big MNCs and higher education, and see how best we can use the resources that they have and create strategies for our students. And that has been my work, that has been my journey so far, as to creating something which usually didn't exist in the K-12 environment before, but then how we can make our students equipped with those skill sets so that they're ready when they go to the universities or even beyond. So that's the why is plugging that gap that existed. And at GEMS Education, where I am right now, there's a couple of roles that I'm involved in. Of course, being the director of AI at our flagship American school, which is GEMS Dubai American Academy. We have managed to set up the world's first AI Center of Excellence in a K-12 environment, where it's not just theoretical AI and conceptual AI that we're talking about. We're actually working on projects which are making a difference right now in the society. So that involves in coming up with partnerships with companies who are working in and using these tools to solve real problems in the community, and also creating strategies of not just using AI in our teaching and learning, but actually also teaching about AI to the students. So we were involved in creating the AI curriculum almost 7 years back, 6 to 7 years back, even before the hype of ChatGPT and the entire landscape talking about large language models. Because we saw that is one of the emerging technologies that was transformative, and it's going to have an impact. And AI is not just one of them. There are many other emerging technologies. But we knew that AI is something that is going to have a huge transformational impact, and it just got accelerated due to COVID. All the companies who were working in these industries ramped up their R&Ds. And of course, with the birth of companies like OpenAI and giving access to people to ChatGPT, it just kind of opened the Pandora's box, and people kind of, some of them got scared, like, okay, if AI is so powerful, what will happen to our jobs? So a part of my role as well is to make sure that people are aware of what the technology is before they get any opinions about it.
Amazing, amazing. So, Sreejit, you and I go back a long way.
Yeah.
And it's so heartening for me to see your journey and you have evolved within the scope that you chose for yourself. So, Sreejit and I met 10 years ago, and we were hosting a summer camp for young children in robotics and coding. And I saw Sreejit in action, and when he was teaching the students, and I was like, wow, this gentleman will go a long way. Because you could see the passion, you could see the desire to bring technology into the classroom and to empower these young students. Fast forward 10 years, and I see that you're doing great things. But I have a question. So I'm a Gen X, right? So needless to say, look at the way I'm dressed and look at the way you guys are dressed. So yes, I'm Gen X. And, I've seen technology evolve, at an exponential rate in the last 25 years. So be it the smartphones or be it tech, EdTech, any industry you go into, you see technology taking over. So I do have a question that I'd like to begin with, that in terms of EdTech, what is the transformational AI innovation that you see in the education sector today?
Yeah, it's a very difficult question to answer, to be honest, because someone who's been working in both the industries, like technology and working with AI and also in education, it's not one transformative tool that has had an impact. It's a combination of all of them. It's just came into light post large language models and generative AI, although AI has a lot to offer than just generative AI. We started teaching about self-driving transportations using computer vision even before ChatGPT came into the picture. So that's a different aspect of machine learning that we were trying to teach and involve in our curriculum. But that's just one of the small examples. But the landscape that we are living in right now has been impacted with a lot to do with generative AI and large language models for the moment. So I believe there are multiple facets of education right now that have been impacted, but teaching and learning is the biggest example, not just just the IT aspect of it, but it's the pedagogy side as well. And I believe hyper-personalization of content that the students are consuming, the way they are consuming the content, the way they are creating content, and the way teachers are adapting or changing their methods that they've learned over the years, but they have to adapt right now, or they feel they're left behind, is in all I believe it's having a positive impact in the education system. But we also have to take care of all the stakeholders, not just teachers and students, but also the admin staff, the parents, the higher education, everyone coming together as an ecosystem in education are being impacted by AI right now. So there is no one tool or one kind of process that has having an impact, but it's an amalgamation of all of these that is probably creating a change right now in how education is even being looked at.
Absolutely.
There are examples, I would say, where I've been questioned about this. Like, you go to a classroom right now who are very pro AI, and you see teachers creating lesson plans using AI. Students using AI to answer those questions and quizzes that the teachers are generating, and then teacher using another AI to grade those answers. So is AI doing all the heavy lifting, or is there the educational aspect as well, right? So which is
are we just simplifying work, or are we improving the way we deliver education?
Correct. So we have to go back to what education is all about, right? It's
definitely.
I mean, I do not know exactly, but I think education comes from caring. And it's just connecting the dots that, okay, if I need to learn something, I have to start with the why. So the impact Okay, tools have always been there, and it's always going to be there. What I do with the tools is, I feel, what real education is. So
Definitely.
that
Wow.
is right now even more transformational, I would say. Rather than just talking about one AI tool, it's the fact that AI is leading us to have this conversation today is a good thing.
Absolutely. And then you've probably answered my question already. But the next question was that in terms of AI, we see different aspects of it. You see machine learning, you see NLP, you see generative AI. But all of that is creating content from existing knowledge, churning it out, giving it to the students or the teachers, whoever is seeking it. But does that affect the ability of critical thinking in students and adults as well?
Yeah, to a certain extent it does, and that's where we have to be very careful into using tools that we know how to use, right? So that's where a lot of AI tools are being used right now just for the sake of convenience without understanding how it works.
Wow.
Right. So in GEMS, for example, the first thing that we did when ChatGPT came to the picture is create training sessions and workshops with parents and students and teachers into what a large language model is. So now our students understand how ChatGPT works, how confidently it can give you an answer which is completely inaccurate.
Yes.
So now they do not go back and do
We've
their
all
research
done
on ChatGPT. They know that there are other tools to do their research on.
Right.
So it's that education and that awareness of the tool. Once you know how that thing works, you would know when to use it and when not to use it.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So huge responsibility on the educators and the schools as well. Because how do you ensure that the children, the parents, the community at large is using these tools effectively and properly?
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes me back to when smartphones were coming out, and I was in school at the time, and it was all the rage, and everybody wanted to have one, but there was a huge pushback and paranoia around the new technology. And yet today, a couple of 10, 15 years down the line, we've sort of understood what the pros and cons of the technology are.
Yeah.
We've come to terms with it. But it's interesting because there's usually a lot of paranoia when new technology comes around. And I feel like individuals like you are doing such tremendous work to cut through that and provide and build awareness so
Absolutely.
that there's smarter, more intelligent use of the technology.
We are at such a nascent stage of AI at the moment, specifically AI in education, that it's too early for us to have any conclusion that is this good, is this bad, is this going to take our jobs. We are too early. The technology itself is evolving, right? It's just like internet in the 80s, 80s and 90s when it first came. Schools had policies about internet use in the classrooms.
Definitely.
Right. So right now nobody has them. It's taken for granted, and it's being used left, right, and center. Right now we are in the stage where even GEMS, every educational institution is crafting policies around AI use, fair use policy, behavioral policy, and the impact of AI on that. But in the future, a successful school would be one that would not need an AI policy because it's already part of the other policies, like plagiarism policies, their behavioral policies, their any kind of other policies, because it's a known thing that AI is here to stay. So we are too early at the moment, but it's the right time to have these discussions and create these awarenesses, I would say.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having this conversation with us.
Pleasure.
So now we'd like to sort of contextualize the discussion in the context of our region. And it's a region that's full of, as you know, innovation, transformation, change, and fluidity. And so my first question is that we're aware that the UAE is investing heavily. The GCC is very interested in artificial intelligence and is investing heavily. What are some initiatives that are happening in the region that are most exciting and interesting for you, whether as an individual, but especially as an educator in the field of AI?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this country has a government section and a body only specifically talking about AI and making policies around AI. It has a minister of AI, that speaks a large volume about where the government is looking at and how receptive it is to a transformational change, because it understands it's going to have a huge impact in its society. And every government body alongside is having to kind of adopt its policies and practices, keeping AI and its impact in mind. Education, definitely one of them. It's very heartening to see initiatives like the UAE AI Agenda, the 2031 AI Agenda, the Million Coder initiative. Now they have launched a million prompter initiative, which is basically teaching how to use AI effectively by learning how to prompt effectively.
Oh, yes.
And these are initiatives which clearly say that the government wants to adopt AI in all branches of its society, education as well. It's up to us as individual schools and universities to make full use of the ecosystem that we have in place. Granted, there are a lot of challenges and a lot of things that are yet to be solved, but at least the fact that we are ahead than many other regions in the world is a great starting point for this particular nation and the region as well. And talking about another country within the GCC, Saudi has a huge initiative with their Vision 2030, I believe it's called, and with their AI initiatives that they're helping a lot of startups, even EdTech startups, giving access to a lot of schools and trying out a lot of AI-based products within the region. Understanding that there are possible loopholes, but then you won't realize them unless you try them. You miss 100% of the chance you don't take. So that's the strategy this region goes with. So that's brilliant.
Excellent. So there are government regulations when it comes to the safe and ethical use of AI. So you've already been given a policy framework of how to use it in education and schools?
It's a double-edged sword, to be honest, right? If we go by the framework, there's no one framework that applies to all at the moment, right? There are multiple frameworks that we are all working with. Some that we feel that is more relevant to our education sector. But that's where still a lot of work needs to be done in the region, I would say, is creating those guardrails around effective use and ethical use of AI. Talking in terms of education, a lot of concerns are over data privacy. Where is the data of that student and the parent being stored?
Right.
If you're using any kind of an AI service, for example, ChatGPT, the data is in the cloud and we do not know where that server is sitting. It could be outside the country. Most probably it is. So are there regulations that allow us to do that or not to do that, right? Definitely. So there's a lot of gray area in terms of we want to adopt AI, but then are we within the boundaries of legality? So these are the questions that needs to be answered pretty quickly. They are being addressed in the government level as well right now. There are policies being drafted. There are a lot of data servers that are being invested in at the moment in the region. So that will solve a lot of problems in terms of data being going outside the region. I believe, this is something which is a partnership that needs to happen between the government and the other and the sectors, including education.
You did talk about a few initiatives that you are leading at GEMS and that GEMS is interested when it comes to AI and education. Are there any more examples that come to mind that you would use to inspire or guide other K-12 institutions to both safeguard but also introduce and their students and incorporate AI effectively?
Yeah, we identify that this is such a transformative technology. It'll be foolish for us not to take or hear the voices of all the stakeholders. And for us, the primary stakeholders are our students, are the children. So the first thing that we did is organize a GEMS-wide event. We call it the AI Confluence, wherein we selected the top 10 to 15 students who are really passionate and interested in the technology from all the GEMS schools to come together and create the entire event by themselves.
Oh, wow.
Right? We just gave them
Amazing.
a guidance, but it was a student-led, student-delivered event. We invited alumni of GEMS who are working in AI. We invited thought leaders in the field to come together, create small cohorts, work with the student, brainstorm ideas, see what comes out of it, and create that culture of innovation which already exists but now fueled by AI. So it's not that the teacher goes in the classroom and starts teaching about AI. That is not the way we want AI to be received by the students. We want them to see what's actually happening, how it's being impacting the society outside, be passionate about it, come up with a problem that they want to solve. So we want to fuel that growth. So that's one of the initiatives we are doing at GEMS. Apart from that, there is always a lot of infrastructure infusement that is happening right now with all sorts of machine learning and AI, from our teaching and learning to our admin and other softwares that we use for HR and catering, for example. A lot of data is being created when you work in a school. And with the help of AI, of course, you can make sense of the data. So we are trying to see how best we can make decisions. Budgeting decisions is one thing that we have seen AI helping us a lot. There's a lot of equipment that schools purchase, which is not effectively being utilized. Sometimes it's just kept in the cupboards. Now we can track it. We can track the usage, how many times the equipment has been booked, who is booking it, is there a pattern emerging? Will it help us make better decisions for our budgets next year? So all these kind of decisions are fueled by AI, and it's just about creating those software systems to help us assist with that. So that is again something GEMS is actively working on.
Excellent. And the level of efficiency you'll see in every department, it's just amazing,
Absolutely.
And exciting for everyone. So in terms of using AI for teachers, Sreejit, what is your take on that? How can it help teacher training?
Yeah, teacher training is one topic which I feel AI is going to have a massive impact, and it's already beginning to have an impact as well right now. Teachers love when their admin work is kind of not taking over their free time.
Absolutely, minimized.
Yeah. And I think that's where AI has been a massive help in creating lesson plans, grading, creating strategies of differentiation, helping them come up with ideas to effectively collaborate with other teachers, other schools, helping students with special needs, creating a strategy for them. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work that a teacher needs to do in just delivering a lesson, which goes unseen usually. And that's where I feel when AI comes into the picture, it makes their life a bit easier, I would say. And so professional development, I feel, is one field where teachers not only need to know how to use the AI to do a little bit of these work, but also what that AI is and how is it actually working? What kind of data is it being trained on? Is it, for example, if an AI is trained on a curriculum which is not correct, the output won't be correct, right? So that's when we start coaching our teachers and the differences between what an LLM is and what is a SLM is, how to create a data set and train a model which knows your school, which knows the curriculum in your school, which probably would know every student in your school, and come up with probably lesson ideas and rubrics and assessments which is more tailor-made to that particular student, and that's what essentially is hyper-personalized education, and that's where we want AI to go. And so these kind of training and PD sessions is really, really essential, and that could be really easily infused in all the training sessions that teachers sign up for anyways. So even if it's a literacy or a numeracy training sessions, these tools could be kind of grained inside the teaching and learning module, and that particular training could be imparted in that way and certified. So I believe it's here to stay, and professional development is going to change very quickly for the better.
Absolutely. And, as leadership in the school, I see that you not only have to educate them, get them up to speed, upskill them, but also give them that comfort that AI or technology is not going to replace them. It is only going to empower them. It is only going to enhance what they do. So what are some initiatives that you are doing in terms of giving that comfort to teachers as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think educating the teachers about what AI is first is half the battle. Once they realize how AI works, they know that it's not going to replace them, to be honest.
Absolutely.
They come to that conclusion very quickly. But what it's going to do is augment them and help them and complement them and make their life a bit easier, and make them like 10x versions of themselves, right? Then that excites them. And once you have those teachers on board, they want to dive deep into it. They want to learn more about how AI can be used in their day-to-day kind of processes. So I believe awareness and having those small awareness sessions and creating those sessions wherein teachers are actually given the freedom to see and explore and not just drill down with, you have to use this and you cannot use this, right? That becomes a bit challenging.
That's critical. I think you've nailed it.
Yeah.
That just give them the freedom, give them the confidence that you explore and see how it can help you, rather than just
because
prescribing something.
Every teacher is different. Teaching itself is a very personal profession.
Yes.
So every teacher is different. Their teaching style is different. The way they connect with the student is different. And AI will never get that. That's the human element of education, which
learning is a social process.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm never saying never, but it's going to be really challenging for an AI to replace those elements that a teacher has, and that the teacher is involving in that process of teaching a student. And even for a student to come up with an exam or come up with a assessment submission, it's going to look very different in the future, because when you have AI looking over a piece of content and judging a piece of content based on what it sees, it is not taking into account a lot of other factors, socioeconomic factors, the mental health factors, many other tertiary factors that are affecting, which the human teacher would, right? So that is the other aspect wherein AI needs to be used in a very in a nuanced fashion, and teachers as human beings need to be valued, and their input as not just they're not just facilitators of education or content and information. ChatGPT does that
exactly,
sometimes very badly, but but it's about why and what to do with that information is what makes teachers. I mean, a very simple example is when we look back in our schooling days, we always remember that one or two teacher.
Correct.
But we don't remember her because of what she taught us, right? It's because of
how she made us feel.
How she made us feel. What was the life lesson that we learned? What do I remember her now that I'm utilizing in my day-to-day life?
Very true.
So those are the kind of things that teachers are, which I wouldn't go back and say I remember my AI because it made my life easier.
That's true. Yeah. But could we apply the same principle on the administrative side of things? So for example, for teachers, yes, as you said, it's a social interaction and the inspiration that you're getting from them, how they're making you feel. So it's a lot of emotional connection that you have with teachers as well. But when it comes to the administrative side of things, do you think AI will take over the human functions?
Wow.
If there's any repetitive function which involves judgment which is based on data, probably yes. AI is very good at that. And if you still believe that no, AI is not going to take that, it is going to be. But anywhere where human judgment comes into the picture and there's a lot of a personalized element required, then I believe it's here to stay. Humans are here to stay for sure. In admin, the whole job of an admin to be proficient and productive is to get things done quickly without errors. And AI is very good at that.
But it's interesting because in schools, we use the word administration to refer to decision makers, right? To refer to leaders. And then that's where I'm thinking of accountability as another thing. So you could use AI to make decisions, but then who would be accountable for those decisions or to see their impact?
And it's not just education, right? Any industry. Look at transportation, right? Why don't we see self-driving cars on the streets?
I'm ready to wait for
them, but
right?
Apparently
the technology is there. It's been here for the last 10 years, but it's the policies around it is not yet being finalized.
Right.
If a self-driving car causes an accident, who is at fault?
Oh yeah.
Is it the company? Is it the coder?
Very good point.
Right?
Accountability.
Accountability, right? That's the same thing in education.
Yeah.
And the change that we're going to see right now is specifically like when we are moving right now from the world of large language model and generative AI, we are already entering the next phase, which is agentic AI, wherein we will have agents doing not just one particular task, but multiple tasks for that particular role.
Oh, wow.
So we already have, in some examples, agent as a teacher. We could have an agent who does assessments. We could have an agent who could do school evaluation. We could have an agent who could create curriculum. So that is where, I mean, imagination is infinite. I mean, we cannot even think how far AI can go.
Yeah.
But accountability is something which the policymakers and the government needs to sit down work with the education leaders and work and come up with an idea as to how best we can make use of the tools that we have, rather than just giving it a free rein to do whatever it wants to do.
So it looks like there's going to be a human,
Yeah.
and then there's going to be an agent with the human, right? Or multiple agents.
Yeah.
Facilitating
maybe that
the
is
human.
what the work life, or
It-
even the
it
home
is.
space, right?
Yes.
For
Every
decisions.
like I have 4 to 5 agents that work with me, that kind of work for me, I would say. Like a simple agent looks after all my emails that I get and gives me a dump of all the action items I need to take at the end of the day. And that's an agent I built free of cost. And that could be built to do other stuff as well. And it could be built to, check the students' work in the classroom, find out learning gaps, come up with suggestions that this particular student would learn better with a visual input. So all these kind of stuff, the heavy lifting can be done by an agent and a generative AI. But then the final decision is still the teachers, which needs to be always, kind of taken.
But
into
Sreejit,
consideration.
you're clearly ahead of the curve, right? I'm certain that not many of us are aware of these kind of developments in AI, of having agents, etc.
Yeah.
But how soon do you see these agents coming into the workforce?
Very soon, I would say in the next, I think before we turn to 2026, we will have
Wow.
a society filled with AI agents doing the heavy lifting. It just boosts productivity. How ethical is it is something that will depend on how the agent is built and trained on, because we have to cater to the biases. We know that AI is not foolproof. There's a lot of bias that is in the system. There are a lot of hallucinations, as we call them,
Absolutely, yes.
in an AI output. So how best we manage that and how best we address that is where the technology is lacking right now. So, but it's going to catch up very soon.
Amazing.
So what does that leave humans to do then, Sreejit?
Good question. Now switch on my philosophy.
I think maybe just 5 minutes of that.
Oh, good question. So in popular media, if you see like, let's say the movies, for example, growing up, we have seen lots of movies which talk about AI, robots, for example, right? All of them showcase a future wherein, like, it's like a singularity. AI has taken over the humans. They have become smarter than humans. They have waged war against humans, like Terminator and so on and so forth. I hardly feel that's going to be a reality, because I do not think even if AI becomes smarter than a human, the first thing they want to do is eliminate humans. That is a human tendency.
Oh, wow.
When humans are
that's
powerful, they want to colonize other people. Because I have more power, so I will colonize you, become my whatever. So that's a human tendency. It's not a machine tendency, right? So that's what movies taught us. And if you see movies like, one of the very few movies that got AI right is WALL-E. It's the animated movie. And
Pixar.
it shows us that in the future there's a possibility where humans won't do much. They will just be couch potatoes and just stick to their couch literally and just use some agents and AIs to do the work for them. And that is happening right now, right? So that's the challenging part right now is with the advent of these AI agents, I can have an agent which would probably of course we'll be going to the super intelligent part of it. It would have an impact and automate almost everything that I do in a day, right? So then what am I going to do? That is the question, because we are already kind of going in that direction, because even if I have to reply to a simple mail, I'll probably put it on ChatGPT and see if I can make it look better, right? We are all using generative AI, even if it is not required to, but we feel that if I don't do that, I'm missing out on something, and it's there, why not? So that complacency will only increase, and our comfort with AI is only going to increase. And to answer your question, what are we going to do? Nobody knows.
Is it like full circle going back to the caveman era when we didn't have it to do anything?
With humanoids. So this time
Yeah, a very futuristic cave, but you never know.
humanoids with
Yeah.
us.
That's where I think the skill sets right now we should be investing in are probably the soft skills, the skill sets of change management, decision making, interpersonal skills. Students are forgetting how to read.
Yeah.
students are forgetting how to type. Students are forgetting how to, do simple calculations because they're dependent on these machines. And that's with adults as well, right? So we have to probably tone it down a bit. Use AI only if you want to, and it makes sense, but try to kind of come up with ideas where we have activities where we do not use AIs, and have those kind of guardrails around how freely you can use AI. Coming from an AI background, I want people to use AI, but also they need to know how to use AI and when not to use AI.
So what I'm hearing is we'll have to sort of re-explore what it means to be human altogether, and what do you do with your time, your energy. So
Absolutely.
Interesting.
But having said that, I mean, maybe that's the optimism that I have in general, that if you look at the human 100 years ago, and they accomplished quite a bit, but what we can accomplish today because of technology,
Right.
There's no comparison.
Exactly.
So I feel that, yes, we have to be mindful of where we are headed in terms of the soft skill, in terms of the emotional side of things, ethics, and so on. But I just see positivity coming from technology enhancing and improving our lives.
I mean, and the easiest example is COVID.
Yeah.
Before AI, I would say, like before the world that was infused with AI, it takes 2 to 3 decades to come up with a drug specifically for an epidemic and a pandemic.
Right.
We had the drug within 30 days after COVID was identified.
That's true.
Right? It took a year to get it, formalized and regulated. But that was the power of machine learning. That is the power of faster computing right now, and it's only going to get like exponentially faster with the advent of another new technology, which is quantum computing, which we are on the horizon of, which is just around the corner. But once quantum computing is in full use across all industries, it's going to not 10x or 100x, but millionx our kind of problem solving efficiency that our AIs have right now. So it's very scary to think what is the world is going to look like after like 10 years right now, because the pace at which it's growing, it's rapid. But yeah, again, I'm optimistic as well. It's going to be a great world to live in.
But as long as we drive the technology and we are not driven by it, I think that is where the key solution is.
Rising to the occasion.
Yeah,
more like
exactly.
I mean,
being led by
switch it off if you feel it's taking over.
Right.
We still have that power.
Have that power.
Yeah. And that's what happened with Facebook and Meta when they had created 2 AI bots, and they didn't realize that for few months they were actually communicating with each other by creating a language that they both developed.
Oh, wow.
So the AI came up with a language so they can develop without humans knowing, and they had to plug that project.
Well, that's fascinating.
So yeah, I mean,
Scary,
AI has the power, right? So once you know what a language is and how a language is developed by humans, a machine can develop its own language. It's not difficult.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But it kind of got the inspiration or the inclination to do it of its own accord. That's the interesting part.
That's the part. So you never know what they were working on in terms of the project and what the intention was for that particular AI to be. But yeah, it has happened and it can happen in the future. So yeah.
So Sreejit, how are the parents or the parent community in general in schools taking the AI influx into the classrooms? Because I was just reading the other day that in South Korea, the government felt that we should have AI-driven digital textbooks. But there was a pushback from the parents that can we please not get rid of books?
Yeah.
I mean, books is something that we all have grown up with, and we see the value of them, right? So how do you see in our landscape here, how are the parents taking it?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on how and what kind of AI solutions you're presenting them with, and what kind of AI tools are you utilizing in your day-to-day work in a school. But yeah, that is something very radical, to replace textbooks with AI videos. I mean, that is a conversation we had when iPads were introduced in the classroom, right? Screen time was an issue. But it's not about the screen, it's about what you are doing with the screen is what is important. So it's about communicating with the parent as to what is the benefits of using a particular AI tool, rather than just saying that we are using AI for the sake of it because everyone else is. Once the parents realize, and that's how we train our teachers, once the teachers realize that AI is doing something which is beneficial for them, they won't ask that question. And everybody right now is facing this dilemma of impact and impact and infusion of AI in their day-to-day work. So all the parents are using either AI or their jobs have been impacted by AI in the workforce as well. So they realize that education cannot be left behind. It's how they use, how we as educators are using AI is what really matters. So when we do our coffee mornings with parents, we are very open and frank, and we ask parents, how are you using AI in your workforce? Give us ideas. We want to learn from you. Right, so we want them to come up with ideas, and then we tell them, okay, this is something amazing. We have found out some great tools that we want to use in our classrooms. As long as the data privacy and the ethics concern is addressed, I do not think parents have a problem with us using AI. It's just about using AI to help make the education better rather than just automating some parts of education. So as long as the learning is not hampered, they're okay with the use of AI tools.
Interesting. Wow, so many more questions, but so little time. Well, we have an idea about the use of AI in education that we're considering as a company, and I think it might be interesting to get Sreejit's idea on this. So going back a bit to when we were talking about using AI with teachers, we've been thinking, because we've been in that personalized instruction for students space for quite a long time. So we've been thinking, if we are going to use technology to personalize learning for students, why aren't we doing the same for educators? And so now we're looking to develop or partner with PD companies and create a resource that would allow teachers to learn through an AI-driven personalized instruction technology or personalized pathways for learning, so on and so forth. And interestingly, an application that has come forward is in coaching, where a teacher could get feedback on the way he or she's providing instruction through an AI coach, which may be more private and comfortable compared to having an actual coach observe you in the classroom and then give you feedback. Iram, anything you'd like to add to that?
So we are now partnering with a company, and they are developing an AI-driven professional development platform. And the whole idea is that the learning, coaching, impact measurement, everything is done within that platform. And coaching, as Bushra said, is an important factor, because we do know, and I've been a teacher myself, Sreejit, of course you remember that. So, as teachers, you are trying to do your best in the classroom. You are trying to implement whatever you've learned in workshops and in courses, etc. But when it comes to being observed, it is a little daunting, isn't it? It is a little, because you have to put your best foot forward, but of course you have a classroom of 25 kids, you're managing everything. Teachers get very good at it with time, but it does get overwhelming. So there is a way in this platform where teachers can upload their own videos and get feedback from an AI coach, for example, to begin with, and then of course the human coach can step in as well. But imagine the ease for the coach as well, because now you have this feedback coming from the AI coach telling you that, based on the framework or the rubric that was given, this is what the teacher did right. These could be some areas of growth. So just making the process more efficient and less overwhelming. That is the whole idea.
It's beautiful. I love one word that you used, which usually we kind of taken for granted, or sometimes we don't even think about when we are talking about teacher PDs or teacher coaching or trainings or upskilling, is impact measurement. Right? Because once you attend a PD and you get that CPD and you are happy with the lessons, that is just the beginning of the process. It's not the end of that PD session, right? What you're doing inside the classroom, how are you using that knowledge to deliver it to the students, and how is it actually changing your teaching and learning methodologies, is what needs to be measured. And often it's not very easy to do that. And I think that's where an AI tool will really, really have massive impact in demystifying the data that is collected. A school collects a lot of data, and we have millions of Google Sheets. But how do we make sense of that, right? How do we come out with inferences that, okay, this is the actual action item that needs to be tackled? So I think using an AI for something like that is a brilliant concept. And when the human expert is delivering the kind of the services. It is more targeted. It's because the general rubric is already used by the AI to assess.
That's an interesting thought as well.
So just
you can
making it
make
so
more
efficient,
nuanced, more personalized, more
Yes.
impact where it matters. Those kind of training outlook. I think that's what is going to be transformative with the help of AI.
Excellent. So we are so blessed that way that we are here where we have the opportunity to work with different companies, different providers, and see what best suits our part of the world and our demographic.
Yep.
So we are excited about this new initiative as well.
We are happy at GEMS for you if you want to get some teachers to test it out.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
We are always open to that.
Would love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
No, you're trailblazers anyway, so
Yeah.
that would be a privilege to work with your teachers
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah. All right. So, if you had to predict the education system 10 years from now, what role will AI play? And you've spoken about it in different ways, but in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, 10 years is a very long time, especially in the rapid.
day
Can't
and
believe we're
age.
saying that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't even predict what's happening next year. It's 10 years is
True.
A vision. Just an
But what I feel is not going to change is the role of the teachers and the school. We are there to stay. It's just that the processes that is happening inside the classroom is going to be augmented quite a bit with the help of AI for the better. A lot of content that is being consumed is going to be moderated, and guardrails need to be, they're already being created right now, wherein students can come up with their own versions of hypothetical situations that they want to use as projects, right? So I think project-based learning is going to see a shift with the help of AI, and society in general is going to change in 10 years, right? So education is not going to be isolated from that. I think a lot of subjects that are taught in the classrooms are going to evolve, if not change.
True.
Focus would be towards more subjects that are kind of transformational in the industries. And if I'm just thinking out loud, I cannot really... if someone says that, okay, this is going to happen, this is not going to happen in 10 years, they're lying, because no one can predict what's going to happen in 10 years.
Okay.
If you go 10 years back and tell that we're going to live in a world with ChatGPT, you would be
unimaginable,
crazy, right?
Yeah.
So,
even 10 years ago, unimaginable.
so I'm just excited to be there.
Okay. That's a great response. Thank you so much.
Inshallah, yeah.
What's next for you in AI and education? Any upcoming projects or collaborations?
Yeah, a lot.
I'm sure.
Some I can share, some I cannot. But the whole idea is we're trying to find out areas of the schools and education in general which can actually benefit with the help of AI tools, right? Teaching and learning is one of them, but then there are other processes that are there, right? Computer vision is one thing that we are heavily looking forward to and investing in. Although a lot cannot be done right now because of regulatory policies around facial data and biometric data not being stored on servers and all this kind of stuff. But there's a lot of power in cameras in general for us to automate a lot of processes, starting with attendance tracking to attendance taking to localizing a particular student to finding out threats in a campus. All these things, the AI is very good at solving these problems. It's about regulatory data and keeping into mind that we should be ready once these regulations come into effect. So these are some of the projects that we are kind of very excited about and working, apart from our regular teaching and learning projects, in which our biggest probably the deal that we have done, the partnership agreement that we have signed, is with Microsoft. And one of the products that we are heavily utilizing right now in terms of the innovation heads, and then later on it will be rolled out to all the teachers and eventually to the students, is Copilot, which is a Microsoft product which now sits across the entire ecosystem of Genesys IT infrastructure. And it helps us give a more personalized and nuanced output in terms of more targeted, less bias, less kind of hallucinations, because it is training on the data that we are providing to it, and
interesting.
it's a enterprise-based solution rather than a public-based solution like ChatGPT. So it knows about the context of what we are
So
asking.
super customized to...
Very customized. So that is something
Very nice.
that is that we have publicly announced our partnership with Microsoft, and then a lot of others that we are working on, and next podcast will be a good time to talk about those.
Looking forward to it.
So one piece of advice that you would like to give teachers or students or parents who are hesitant to use AI, what would that be?
Learn about AI first. I think the hesitancy comes when you do not know what's coming your way, right? It's the fear of the unknown which makes you hesitate.
Wow.
But once you know what it is, you understand how it works. You know the instance, the extent at which it will impact your day-to-day life. You will embrace it with open arms. Granted, it's got a transformational power that might make your work come off as okay. Is there ethical integrity in your work, or is there kind of a shortcut that you have taken because you've used AI? Is your day-to-day work being challenged? That okay, is AI being used to this? Those kind of questions need to be answered first in terms of the policies around a school, for example, right? There has been, there have always been policies around for those things. Right? AI. It's not just because of AI that we have to activate those policies again or talk about those policies.
That's
Plagiarism
really
is the
important
biggest
point,
one.
actually.
So sometimes people don't understand that creating an AI piece of content is not plagiarism. It's AI generated content. I'm not copying. I'm not taking someone else's IP, right? Now, is it my IP? Maybe not. But
Right.
it's not plagiarism, it's AI generated. So sometimes when we are creating assessments in the schools, for example, we are pushing our students to come up with ideas and pushing our teachers to come up with new ideas as to how you can best understand this concept and best display or convey your understanding of that particular concept. So multimodal assessment is one of them, right? Where you're not just limited to a text-based output as in terms of an exam. You could have an interview, you could have a podcast, you could talk about it, you could teach about the subject or the students. That shows your learning and understanding of the content. There are AIs which are used to create lesson plans right now for teachers, which can create an assessment in such a way that the assessment becomes AI proof. The students cannot use AI to fill in the answers.
Definitely makes a lot of sense.
So those are the stuff that needs to be understood. So you have to understand how AI works. I would say that is the only way to create that or negate the negativity around AI at the moment.
Excellent. So yeah, fear of the unknown. That is what
Fear of the unknown
keeps people back. Holds them back
Yeah.
for embracing any change
absolutely.
or development. Yeah. So perfect. Bushra, I think now it's time to play your game.
Now it's time for the closing game, finally. So, Sreejit, we tend to play a very special, fun little game towards the end of each podcast where we'll basically ask you and Aram a yes or no question. And you have a little chalkboard over here where you can write your response. And then at the count of 3, you can lift up your boards together. And then maybe we can have a little discussion around why you chose that specific response. Okay.
How about I let you respond today?
Oh,
I'll ask the question.
okay. So
But I
excited.
read the question.
Sure. You need the questions. There you go.
And
All right.
here's the response.
Okay.
Okay. So your first question is, would you trust AI to make your coffee just the way you like it? All right. Can we see the answers
Yes.
now?
No.
No?
Because I like it a little different each day. So how will AI know that?
Yeah, the reason I wrote yes is because we have done that. So if you come to our AI lab in DAA, we have a robot who makes coffees.
Oh, wow.
And it's trained on personal data, so it knows what is your preferences. If you like a latte, if you like a cappuccino, it knows you, it understands your need, and it comes up with that particular coffee and serves it to you. Keeping that aside, I think the fact that you mentioned that you like it different every day
Yes.
is something which AI is probably going to be very good at understanding,
Predicting.
and coming up with a coffee that you would never have thought of, but it's just the perfect coffee for you because
Oh,
it's just
wow.
specifically made on preferences that you have.
Okay, so we're visiting you maybe next week.
Yes.
Anytime. It's just
Getting
across the road.
Getting a special cup of coffee. All right.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. So the next question is, would you take a ride in a fully AI-driven car with no human controls? All
Yes.
right. Yes.
Absolutely. I guess the skeptic here is very
Yeah.
obvious.
I'll tell you why I wrote yes. First, I have already done that.
Oh, wow.
We have a self-driving car in our school, but I've taken a self-driving cab as well in the US. The problem is the human factor here, right? Why are we scared of self-driving cars? Scared of accidents, scared of it making a bad judgment call. But that will only happen if we are living in a society or where all the cars are not AI or not self-driving. Look at Dubai Metro, for example. Why is it so safe?
Because it's just one.
all the metros are self-driven. It's not a case where some are human-driven and some are self-driven.
Yeah.
Right? So if all the cars are self-driven on the roads, it's going to be the safest road ever because every car is going to communicate with each other and there won't be any collisions. But
That
when the
makes
human factor comes into the place,
Yeah.
we cannot predict how a human is going to be reacting.
Yeah. So,
You
we
are-
have to wait for all the cars to be
Yeah.
AI-driven.
So
Only
then
we
you will
get
have
it.
a-
I wouldn't mind giving up driving, but that would be nice.
That's true.
Okay.
All right. So the third question is, could AI ever win the Best Teacher of the Year award?
That's an easy no for me.
Oh, okay, we're
good.
aligned.
And it's a no from me as
Yeah.
well. So that makes the majority, of course.
Yeah.
But that's true because, again, we feel that teaching is a noble profession, but it also comes from the heart, right? So the human connection, the human
Yeah.
touch, emotion has to be there.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's more than just data
Yes.
that
Or content,
you need
yeah.
to assess a student. So and AI works only on data.
Correct.
But there are some things that cannot be quantified in data, which a teacher is just part of the profession they have to have, and those are the connections, and those are I would say the invisible connection that a teacher has with the student, which cannot be put on an Excel sheet or a piece of paper that could be quantified. So I think teachers are not going to be taken over by AI for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, for
and,
sure.
And you can't teach empathy to AI, can you? Is that
You can teach an AI to replicate empathy and showcase fake empathy.
Okay.
But
it's not-
it won't know when to actually use what kind of empathetic reaction, because it is again trained on some certain visual cues, but it doesn't understand what is actually happening in front of it. It's just trained on some data, which could be easily mimicked or faked.
And on that note, I think we're ready to conclude this very insightful episode of our podcast. Dr. Sreejit, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. It was a great hour spent, and starting from the classroom, we went all the way to Wall-E and space and philosophy and robots and agents. It was a great conversation. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sreejit, and wish you more power, more success, all the best in all the work that you do. And inshallah, we'll see you again.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.